Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of In the Mood for Love, a Hong Kong romance film from 2000 that was directed by Wong Kar Wai and stars Tony Leung and Maggie Cheung. In British Hong Kong in 1962, a journalist, played by Tony Leung, and a secretary at a shipping company, played by Maggie Cheung, rent adjacent rooms in an apartment complex. Each of these people has their own spouse who works and often leaves them alone on overtime shifts. Due to a friendly but overbearing presence of a landlady and their bustling mahjong-playing neighbors, our protagonists often find themselves alone in their rooms. Now, although they initially are only friendly to one another at first, they begin to grow closer as they both realize that their spouses are sleeping together behind their backs. So I would say that movies like In the Mood for Love give romances a good name. The content, I don't think, is quite as dense as Fallen Angels or As Tears Go By in terms of the amount of stuff that's happening in those films. I would say it creates a more leisurely pace to this, but the film thrives on its character interaction between the two leads, which is very effective. You know, Tony and Maggie's performances are great. I think most fans of Hong Kong cinema are fans of both of these actors, and you're not going to be disappointed with their acting in this. And their chemistry is also very good. Now, their characters are essentially ignored by their spouses. And the thing that I find really interesting is that we don't even see their spouses at all in the film at any point. You know, on the rare occasions where someone will talk to Tony Leung's wife or Maggie Cheung's husband, they'll be off screen. You won't see them. You know what I mean? And that was actually a pretty excellent decision on the part of the filmmakers. It really accentuates the situation and helps the viewer to sympathize with our protagonists, because their spouses, even when they're there, they're not really there. You know what I mean? It was a really good decision. I like that. Of course, you know, Tony and Maggie eventually hear rumors that their spouses are hanging out with other love interests. They find little clues here and there. They begin talking to one another, and then they realize certain little things, little nuances, like little trinkets or behavior patterns of their spouses that kind of link their spouses together, and they start questioning, like what's going on here? You know, is your wife sleeping with my husband? You know what I mean? And it's a very nicely written way of having our protagonists kind of figure out that they're being betrayed by their loved ones. I like the conversations in this. At one point, our leads have a minor argument about who they think started this affair between their spouses. Later on, they rehearse with each other, you know, how they would confront their spouses about the situation. And those are two highlight moments in the film in terms of character interaction and development. And the relationship is nicely built, and it's done quite naturally. As an added bonus, the ending avoids most cliches. This isn't a romance that has a big momentous cliched moment like a lot of romances do, but it still has an emotional resonance to it, and it's just a really well-crafted romance film. Now, to no one's surprise, it's stylistically on point. All right, I mean, I did read this recently. There were actually two cinematographers that worked on this. Christopher Doyle worked on the film for a while, and then he left after the film got behind schedule. And then Mark Lee came in to finish it off. And he's a very prolific and acclaimed cinematographer, worked on a lot of Hao Xiaoshen's films. So they do have different styles. And the situation actually added a bit of variety to the shots in this, I think. And I've read a lot of people think this. The camera work overall is really interesting. One thing I noticed, there's a lot of close-up shots in this, mixed up with medium-length shots, and the characters a lot of times are out of frame at the beginning of the shot. But then the camera pans to put them in frame. So there's multiple shots that it'll start on Maggie Cheung's lower body, and then it'll pan up, You know what I mean? So you'll cut from another scene and bam, there's like Maggie Cheung's legs and it'll shift up. So it's a very kind of interesting way to kind of frame the film. And I found it to be really kind of engaging visually. I think the way the shots are framed in this movie are pretty impressive. I mean, I'm just a normal guy reviewing movies, but I can definitely understand to a degree why movie critics and students of film freaking love this director and these cinematographers so much. You can kind of understand it. I read that the production was a little bit difficult because they were really going for that 1960s aesthetic, but they pulled it off. Now, Maggie Cheung's clothing in this film they're stunning. Stunning clothing in this movie. It's not that often where I'm like flabbergasted by how awesome clothing is in a film, but I was gawking at this lady's dresses the entire time. Very sharp, colorful, stylish. The colors looked maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but outside of that, it's great. I had the same experience when I was watching Kamikaze Girls, the Japanese film, with Kyoko Fukada's frilly dresses in that film. I was just like, man, these dresses are just so awesome. So that was pretty interesting. There's a lot of slow motion shots in this film with music playing. It adds, it tries to create a emotion, you know what I mean, and an emotional feel, and that works. Now we get Nat King Cole in this movie for the music, for some of the music. And in my opinion, he has one of the best singing voices of all time. Of all time. Like when I was a kid, I grew up listening to the Christmas song, repeatedly, all throughout December, every single year. And that song in particular has just been ingrained into my consciousness. But this guy, talk about a voice. You gotta be freaking kidding me with Nat King Cole. So that's a bonus in this. So, overall, In the Mood for Love is in my top 3 right now favorite Wong Kar Wai films, along with Fallen Angels and As Tears Go By. It moves a little bit more deliberately than those films, but it provokes a sense of loneliness, which is ironic, given the fact that these are married people that we're following. So it's very effective. Occasionally, every once in a while online, I'll hear someone quote the saying, the worst thing is not being alone. It's being married to someone who makes you feel alone. And that's the theme of this movie, and it drives that point home pretty well. So In the Mood for Love, if you're even remotely interested in this director, or even Hong Kong cinema in general, it's pretty much a must-watch, even if you're not a big fan of romances. It's currently available on streaming and physical media. And as always, I will see you next time.